Welcome back, everyone, to Behind the Arc Basketball on YouTube. Shocking college basketball news going down yesterday in a year to transfer as it continues here for college basketball. Point guard for the Florida Gators, Andrew Nembhard, announced yesterday that he plans on withdrawing from the NBA draft, and he announced that he will transfer from the Florida Gators. This happens to be a massive loss from this upcoming season's roster here for Florida. Now, I am shocked because I thought that he would go to the NBA draft as he actually hired an agent, and shocking here that he actually decided to withdraw from the NBA draft. But later on in this video, I will talk about the teams which I predict will be the best fit for the future here to acquire Andrew Nembhard in the transfer portal. A little bit of background info on Nembhard before I get to that. Nembhard is a 6'5" point guard from Canada. He was a top 30 recruit coming out of high school in the class of 2018. He started 67 games during the past 2 seasons for the Gators, and he was also an SEC All-Freshman selection back in 2019 as Nembhard averaged 11.2 points per game and 5.6 assists per game this past season, which he ranked number 2 in the SEC as a sophomore last season in assists per game. According to ESPN, Nembhard will most likely have to sit out next season before having 2 more seasons of eligibility remaining. He could apply, however, for a waiver to play immediately for next season. Nembhard had a career-high 25 points twice this past season against Alabama and Georgia. He also had 3 games in which he had 10 assists or more. His career high in assists was 13 assists back in December versus Long Beach State. Now, Nembhard's room for improvement includes this, is that during his next team, Nembhard will look to build up his scoring production to start being a knockdown shooter so he can get better as a consistent scorer. So that's his room for improvement there, is trying to build up his scoring production to be a knockdown shooter so he can finally find that consistency to score. But Nembhard, he kind of showed flashes of that this past season, had a couple strong games. One of them was against Texas A&M, shot the ball really well from the floor, 9 for 11 during that game, and scored 24 points in the win in February over Texas A&M. Now, Nembhard, he's going to be an asset to the next program here as a leader for the team, a solid passer already, tremendous ball handlers. That will earn him definitely starting point guard role right off the bat for his next team, in which he can come in from day one and run the offense. So, while there is no official list yet of schools that Nembhard happens to be interested in the transfer to, I'm going to predict here 7 schools which Nembhard might be a good fit in. So here's my prediction. I'll take a look here. 7 schools that Nembhard, I predict here, would be a good fit to play if he transfers over to them. So number 1 on the list, in my opinion, happens to be the Gonzaga Bulldgos, as Nembhard would play along with a roster that's basically always loaded with forwards playing there. A lot of big men there on a team that's basically loaded with inside scores. That would help out Nembhard a ton getting the ball inside. Assisting passes there. His head coach Mark Few, he just loves to take transfers at the point guard position and just insert them right into that role. An example of that was this past season with Ryan Woolridge. He played 1 season as a grad transfer coming from North Texas to Gonzaga, and Mark Few was able to pick him up off the transfer portal and put him in for his final season for the Bulldogs. And it looks like this. Point guard Jalen Suggs is coming in next season for Gonzaga, but I'm predicting that Jalen Suggs will most likely be a one and done for the Bulldogs, which means now that Gonzaga will be they're going to have to search here for their next point guard for the 2021-22 season, which I feel like Nembhard will be a tremendous fit. Number 2 here on the list, another team that's looking to search for a point guard for the future after this upcoming season happens to be the Villanova Wildcats. I've got Villanova at number 2. So Colin Gillespie, he's heading into his final season. He'll be graduating at the end of this upcoming season, as Jay Wright will need to find another point guard for Villanova. Villanova is currently at the moment only expected to lose 1 player from this past season, with Sadiq Bey expected to head to the NBA draft. Getting everyone basically back for Villanova happens to mean this, though, is that Villanova will have to find more high-quality pieces to replace the players departing from this team in the future, since they basically only have 1 departure I'm expecting for in the offseason here. That means that they're going to have to lose. There's going to be a ton of players going out the door in the future after the upcoming season or so. So this will be huge here for Villanova to acquire Andrew Nembhard to fill in the role for Colin Gillespie to step in for the 2021-22 season. Okay, so now we've got the first 2 teams. We're going to go to the 3rd team, in my opinion, on this list. Number 3 is Michigan State. And Michigan State and this next team here are the best options, in my opinion, to acquire Nembhard if they can get a waiver and have him to be eligible for this upcoming season. So Michigan State and the next team at number 4 happens to be the best options, in my opinion, to work out if Nembhard was immediately eligible. As Michigan State will have to replace Cassius Winston. That's going to be tough here for Sparty, as there's no question Nembhard can come right in off the bat and run the offense for Tom Izzo's squad. Next season, Michigan State will probably look to have Rocket Watts as the point guard as of now for Michigan State, but Watts plays shooting guard from this past season. Getting Nembhard, if he's able to get eligible, that will be huge for Tom Izzo and his team for this upcoming season. Same team here for number 4 is they're same boat basically that they're in as far as what Michigan State's having happened to them in the offseason with Cassius Winston leaving. This team at number 4, same thing. Peyton Pritchard leaving from the Oregon Ducks. Oregon at number 4, as they are in a desperate need of another point guard for the team. Will Richardson will most likely be sharing those point guard duties for this upcoming season. Oregon will just be in need of a true point guard, though. And, of course, Dana Altman, he does a tremendous job as a head coach at Oregon, relying on pieces from the transfer portal to add in new talent to the roster for the Ducks. There's no question here that I feel like the Oregon Ducks are going to go after Andrew Nembhard here as a transfer. Okay, so we've got through the first 4 teams that I predicted. We're going to move on. Number 5 out of 7 on the list. Number 5 happens to be the Kansas Jayhawks to me. And this all depends here on the upcoming season. It all depends on the 5-star point guard Bryce Thompson coming in for Kansas. If Bryce Thompson does do really well, and he does elect to turn pro after his freshman season for Kansas, then Bill Self will need another point guard in the following season here for the roster. So I've got the Kansas Jayhawks, predicting them at number 5 to pick up Andrew Nembhard. At number 6, I've got this team right here, the Ohio State Buckeyes, as they are in need of a future point guard as well, as they will have point guard C.J. Walker for this upcoming season, but he is a senior heading into this year, so he'll be graduating at the end of this upcoming season, which leads Ohio State in the need of a future point guard, a good quality one as well, as the Buckeyes will get a transfer for the 2021-22 season with Jimmy Sotos, who happened to play point guard at Bucknell. But the Buckeyes, if they want an upgrade here, Nembhard, a sure option to play over Jimmy Sotos if Chris Holtmann would go after Andrew Nembhard at the point guard position. Which leads me to the final team here that I predict that will be a good fit as well. Number 7, the Michigan Wolverines, as we'll keep it with a Big Ten here, as Michigan is expected to lose 4 seniors at the end of the 2020-21 season. The Wolverines are bringing in a grad transfer from with Mike Smith from Columbia for this upcoming season, who will fill in the role for Xavier Simpson at the point guard position. But he's only playing 1 season with Mike Smith, as he's a grad transfer, and he's going to have to be replaced at the end of this upcoming season. So those are 7 teams there that I have on a list that I expect will be a good fit to acquire Andrew Nembhard coming out of the transfer portal. So I'll go over them once again. Gonzaga, Villanova, Michigan State, Oregon, Kansas, Ohio State, and Michigan. Those are the 7 teams that I predict that would be a good fit to acquire Nembhard. Alright, but as far as the Florida Gators, so they're going to lose Nembhard now, which Nembhard was their number 3 scorer from the roster from this past season. The loss of Nembhard, it was expected, as it was thought that he would go to the NBA draft since he already hired an agent, but he didn't. Tre Mann, he'll be back for Florida for this upcoming season, as this is what it looks like. Tre Mann was a top 25 recruit for the class of 2019. He'll be filling in the role at the point guard position for this upcoming season for the Gators. Also, Florida will be getting back Keontae Johnson, who's the leading scorer from this past season, and also Scotty Lewis will be back, a top 10 recruit from the class of 2019 for Florida. The Gators also expected to get back their number 4 scorer with Noah Locke. The only other player basically here that they'll lose besides Nembhard, a player of significance, is Kerry Blackshear Jr., which happened to be Florida's number 2 scorer and leading rebounder from this past season, as Kerry Blackshear Jr. was the most sought-out transfer in the transfer market back in 2019 as he came over from Virginia Tech to the Florida Gators. Also, Florida adding in 2 key transfers for this upcoming season with point guard Tyree Appleby from Cleveland State, and also a forward with Anthony DeRuggi coming from Louisiana Tech. So that's a wrap here to this video. Andrew Nembhard announcing that he'll withdraw from the NBA draft and he will transfer from the Florida Gators, as we are unsure right now what his list of programs looks like, but I just gave 7 teams that I predicted there that would be a good fit for the future of Andrew Nembhard. But feel free to let me know what other teams here in the comment section below that you would think that will be a good fit for Andrew Nembhard. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe to my channel. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, as this is Behind the Arc Basketball on YouTube.